Welcome back to Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. As always, if you're enjoying this content or any content on the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and a like does really help. Now, the garage may look a little bit different. We have changed the whole look of our garage. The outside, the inside. So we're going to have a quick tour just to have a look at what's changed. Some of it you won't see on many videos because we don't show obviously the painting all the time and things like that. But this is the new look for our paint station. I think it looks very nice. The walls are all different as well. And we'll just walk past the outside here. This outside has been changed again. Scrap container on your left. Doorway changed there. That looks nice. And then inside the big changes. So this is our workshop. As you can see, we're going for the old style brickwork on the internal walls. I think that looks really good. It just looks clean. And then again in the main garage, internal old style brickwork with red doors, a nice blue car lifts and red appliances as well. I just think it looks nice and clean, and I had fun doing it. I did try out different shades and all this kind of stuff, but we'll stick with what we've got now. I really enjoy it. It may change again in the future. So today we're going to work on the Sixon Cebulion, which is a story car, 2003, and this car has a few issues. It's got a i4 DOHC BFM engine, so not a very big engine at all. It does produce 270 horsepower though. And it's Johnny. Today I have this sports Sixon for you. Rust isn't sparing this model, especially when it's not kept in a garage. It stood between cactuses, so it looks as if it drowned. Even though the bodywork is up for complete renovation, the mechanics don't look bad. The owner was a fireball who drove it like there was no tomorrow, and probably heated up the engine. Of course, he didn't have the time or the ambition to take care of it, and it was abandoned. Please tidy it up, and I think that we'll manage to sell it as a perfect example. The mileage will not arouse suspicion. I'm waiting for your call. So 2.5 pages of things to discover, plus bodywork to repair or replace. Oil as usual to change. Spray factory colour, we'll get onto that a bit later. There's a reason we'll go onto that later. And all liquids to be changed as well. And all the good stuff that needs doing. And this is what the car looks like. We have washed it as well. It's not good. It does look drowned. We're going to speed through the examination as always. But it doesn't look good. We'll talk about the paint, the factory colour bit later, because I have some issues with that and how it looks. But for the examination, everything's coming up green. That's a good start. 2.5 pages apart, so you kind of wonder, well, what are we going to find? He did say the guy had been overheating it and was a bit of a fireball. I'm expecting engine problems. First check, ignition coils and that, all good. We're looking okay so far. No. Okay. Pistons are gone. That means the whole engine has to come out. After the first test, didn't show up too much. I was kind of expecting not very much, but then with all the piston failures, we haven't got a chance. We're going to have to take all the pistons out. Luckily it's a small engine, but it is still a little bit frustrating. Fuel rails, I think, fuel pump. Yeah, all 4 fuel rails, a fuel pump and fuel filter. Neither of them are any good. And you can see the state of the engine on the inside. Anyway, let's take the battery out, go and put that on charge. I like the fact you can take the battery out, put it on charge literally for a second and it's 100%, but we'll leave it there while we do everything else. So, as always, start with draining the oil. Still not receiving that trophy of spilling oil on the floor. I refuse to receive it until it's going to be the final trophy before we get a platinum, when we finally get that way. It's a long way off. So let's have a look at the oil, let's drain that out. Got a little bit in there. Okay, so that can go back. So now we need to look at disconnecting the engine and everything else. Okay. Right, so it's a front wheel drive vehicle. I didn't know this until we looked. Drive shaft is in the middle, so it's a middle through gearbox. So we need to take the wheels off to get the gearbox off. I don't think there's anywhere on the car information that tells you whether it's a front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, four wheel drive, anything like that. and I didn't click that it was, which is why I was a bit confused. There was no drive shaft down the middle. There we go. Wheels coming off. And do the front axle. There we go. And then that should be near enough everything needed now for the gearbox. So front drive shaft can now come off, and then we should be able to get to the gearbox. Where's the starter motor? Oh, it's there. Right, we can't take the starter motor off until we're in the engine bay itself. So a little bit annoying, but we haven't got a choice. So while we're waiting for that to come down, we'll grab the engine crane, bring that over. It's definitely a smaller engine to work on than we've worked on recently. So the starter motor, we've got to take it off from the engine bay. There we go. Mustn't forget to put that back on from the engine bay, as that's going to be easily forgotten now. I'm so used to them being underneath the car, not inside the engine bay. Okay, gearbox can now come off, unless we've missed anything else. I don't think we should have done. There's a gearbox. Alright, what else have we got? Oh, turbocharger. Let's do the front exhaust section. That should allow everything off. Wrong button press. Okay, let's bring it back down. And we should be able to take the engine out. As long as I've not missed anything else. I don't think I have. I think we're okay. Before we take it out, let's drain liquids. We know we need to change them all anyway. So we may as well drain them now. I think that makes a lot more sense. And they are drain and replace, not to top up, which is very, very important. Okay, well we've taken the water out. That way the water pump won't spill on us. It's kind of my thinking. You must remember to drain the others. Anyway, engine is now out. We can now put the engine on the engine crane, engine stand. We'll speed through the disassembling of the engine, only to save a bit of time. We will talk for it, it's not going to be very long. In real time it took us about 5 minutes to dismantle this whole engine to get to the pistons, which isn't too bad. Smaller engines, a lot simpler to take apart, a lot less moving parts. But as we speed through, take out all the timing section, doing it from the side just so we've got an easier view on the pistons more than anything else. Forgetting that obviously I do need to take off the top end to get to them as well. There's a timing section there. It wasn't a timing section I just took off, was it? But that's the timing section. I'm getting myself confused as I'm going along. We need to replace this top of the engine block anyway. You can see it's corroded horrendously. And we've got the camshafts to get out as well. I was quite impressed that the spark plugs were in good shape. I was expecting them to be no good as well, to be fair. Turbo comes off. There we go. All this can come off as well. Yeah, I was surprised by how good a shape some of this was in, really. And the camshafts. Top of the engine block. And then we should be able to do the pistons. We can actually do them from above, I think, once this is off. Spark plugs coming out. At least I don't need replacing. There's only 4 pistons in this. We're all doing from underneath. Once we take the thing stopping them coming out off. The caps. And then once this is off, we're going to skip ahead to us putting all that together in real time. The engine block itself didn't need to come off because there's nothing wrong with it. So we can now put everything back in place. The crankshaft we had to buy new. The previous one wasn't able to be fixed. And all the pistons and piston rings again, they're brand new as well. You can't fix them anyway, so we have to always buy brand new. I was hoping to get away with this, but I should have guessed when he said it overheated and probably looked like it had drowned. I should have guessed the pistons would have been shot. Okay, so we now need to put all the rod caps back on. Nice easy job. And there's only 4 pistons, it's an i4 engine. That's why it's a lot quicker to take apart than the bigger engines, because there's less parts to them and there's no annoying push rods. It's always a bonus. Crankshaft cap going on. Another rod cap. And then another crankshaft bearing cap. And the last rod cap. Perfect. So now we can put on the oil pan And then we can now do everything else. We'll turn it over to make our life a little bit simpler. We know all underneath is done. So, on the top, we can put the engine head back on, a brand new one. And then we got our camshafts, which are all good. Didn't really need to do anything with those. And these are the bits going to take some time. Camshaft caps. These always are a bit fiddly. Nowhere near as bad as the push rods. I know I've said it a few times, but push rods now annoy me. I've been working a lot on recently on big engines. I think that's why it's just one big engine after another. Another one there. Okay, another one over there. One there. One more to go, I think. One more after this one. Come on, one more. There we go. They're all in. So now we can put our spark plugs back in again. Didn't need to do anything with these. These were all good, surprisingly. Considering the state of the engine head. They're all back. One more to go. I think most of the engine work was taking it apart to take the pistons out. The actual vast majority of it didn't need anything doing to it. As you'll see, they're not 100%. They don't need to be. But we had to strip it down just to get to the pistons. And that's when it does get frustrating when you know that's going to happen. Your easy days out the window, but luckily it doesn't take too long. Okay, we can put the exhaust manifold back on this side. I think that's the side the turbo's on. Yes, it is. There we go. Turbo back on as well. So that's all that done. So we can start looking at the timing side. Cam gear. Idle rollers. And then our water pump. I'm glad we drained it first. Saved us getting a fine. Serpentine belt. Again, same piece going back on. A lot of this didn't need doing anything with, like I say. It was just a case of we had to take it all off. But it's nice it happened to a small engine. Okay, we can get the camshaft pulley back on. And now we've got the alternator. And the power steering pump. And then we can get the serpentine belt back on. And there's another idle roller there. And then we're onto the side. So the intake manifold on this side, this was a brand new one. Didn't have a choice, the other one couldn't be done anything with. And then we've got the fuel rail. There's 4 of those to go in. Put them in before we do anything else, because I will forget about them. And that's number 4. And now we have the throttle. And we've got an oil filter. Brand new one again. Again, you can't fix oil filters, so we didn't have a choice but to buy a new one. We've got a cam gear on this side now to do. Same one as before. And then we can do our drive chain. And then the camshaft, cam gear, sorry. And then we have the timing cover. And then the fuel filter. Again, brand new one, can't fix the previous. And I think that's everything done bar the gear side. So, flywheel can go back on. And then we can do the pressure plate, clutch plate, sorry. Clutch pressure plate. Wrong order of doing things. And our clutch release bearing. And that is the engine done. As I say, small engine, quite quick to work on. Just the time was taken taking it apart to actually get to the pistons. We'll just do a quick scan with build mode on, just so we make sure we haven't missed anything simple. I don't think we have. That can now come off the engine stand, and we can work our way back to the car. Again, we're still ignoring bodywork. There's a reason we're ignoring bodywork, but we'll get to that. So, we've done the engine now. I think there was the fuel tank needed changing. It does look at the state of that. And the fuel pump. Both of those need to come out. We're going to need brand new ones. I don't think they're fixable. No, they're both in the red, so there's no way we can fix those. So we might as well buy them now while we're here. Nice new fuel tank and a fuel pump. And then we can move on from them. Suspension wise, there wasn't many issues from what I remember the list telling us. Most things were all good. So the only thing we needed to do was these wishbones. So these are the double wishbone shock absorbers. So that's one off. I think that's what they're called. I'm pretty sure that's what they're called. Sway bar front end link first, connects it up. But other than those, they're called front shock absorbers. I'm getting them confused with the other ones, I think. They go at a slight angle. And I have noticed the ABS needs sorting out as well. We'll just take these apart, these two, and then we just need to replace the parts. See what actually bits we can fix, what we can't, and what actually needs sorting out. But again, this is quite minor suspension problems compared to what we was expecting. But then every piston is a separate entry on the list of jobs. I know it's only got 4, but the piston rings are then a separate entry. So it soon starts adding up, and what you think you need to replace isn't as much as it seems. And again there's only 2 pieces of them that need sorting out. We can't fix them unfortunately. But there's only 2 of the front shock absorber caps that need replacing. The actual springs and the shock absorber themselves are all good. So we can get rid of the fuel pump, we've already done that, so we just need 2 of these, and then these can go back together and put back on. It's a nice quick job. So join the parts. We don't show this very often, to be fair. We normally just do it while we're doing the wheels. I normally work all 3 machines at once. Just for speed and use really. It makes it a bit easier for us. Makes it a bit quicker. Okay, so the shock absorbers can now go back in place. Can't put the wheels back on until these are done, which is the reason we did these first. But there's not much to do underneath anymore. Obviously we've got to put the engine in, and then the gearbox needs all going on. But other than that, the majority of underneath I think is now done. There's no brake issues, nothing like that. As I say, it was quite a simple car to work on. It's the end result that I'm not too pleased with, as you will see later. Okay, so that's them all done. We can now lower down and put the engine back in. Before we do that, we can't put the wheels on because we need the engine. Forgot the front end link. Easy mistake to make. Got a big close up there of one of the issues we've just noticed as well, which is the ABS. I'm not sure if it's the pump or not, but one of them is no good. Spotted that whilst doing the shock absorbers. So the module's fine, it's the pump that's no good by the looks of that. So the pump can come off. I'm not sure if it's fixable. Probably not. Let's buy a new one just in case. If we do fix it, we've got a spare one. It's not a massive issue. But we'll just get it done. It's in the electronic side. So that's now sorted. Must remember to pick the battery up. It's one of those things I'll just forget because it's there. So while we're down here, and the engine is down, the whole car's down, we'll grab the battery first. So I did remember. And then we'll put the engine back in. And then we'll look at what's next. So battery can go back in now. It's just over here on the right. There we go. Nice and easy. So engine can now go back in. We still got to get the car back up to connect everything back up underneath. That's the majority of that done. Put that away. So what else have we got? I think we need to do gearbox next. Just trying to decide what kind of order to do things in. But gearbox, and then we can do all the front axles. Still weird doing a front wheel drive. We've done so many rear wheel drives. It's just unusual to have one. Anyway, gearbox back in. Remember, we can't do starter motor until we've got the engine back down again. We can do the exhaust section, though, that's back on. And then we've got the steering shaft, the drive shaft, not steering shaft, drive shaft. And then left hand side done, wheel can go back on. And then we just got the other side to do. And then we have a quick look at what else is needed. So drive axle, going back on there. There with the wheel. And then I think that's everything underneath the car done. Unless I've missed something incredibly silly. I think that is it. So we remember starter motor. Cannot forget starter motor needs to go back on. Just below us there. Luckily it's quite in view. It's not easy to forget when it's that obvious, which is always nice. Is there anything else in the engine bay that we can see is an issue? I don't think there is. Let's have a look at the list. So first page done, second page done. We've missed the radiator fan housing fan. Radiator fan housing fan. So it's not the radiator itself, it's this. Now I think there's two parts to that. Let's go and have a look and we can fix it. So we could have fixed the ABS pump. So we've gained an extra one basically. We didn't need to buy a brand new one, but we have. But we'll have one in stock for when we do a car we need it on. We did manage to fix the radiator fan housing fan. So that's all back in place. So that should be the main job list done, from what I'm aware. We can now top up the coolant, as we know we've drained that, and that's done. Nice green liquid. Water reservoir. Oh, I've just realised. We'll just top the water reservoir up. Do we need to drain it? Spray car. Yes, it's change all liquids. I knew I'd done it as I did it. So we've wasted a little bit of money. It's not massive, but it's a little. It's a couple of pounds by topping it up. We've now got to drain it. I didn't even think when I did it. It's a little bit that we didn't need to spend, but luckily it's only a couple of pounds. Okay, it's them two done. So now we can top these up properly with brand new fresh liquid, not mixing into old. So window washer first. Power steering reservoir can now be topped up or refilled. Now I've actually remembered to do it properly. I don't think we've put oil in the car yet either. You can always get confused. I like to do things in order so we don't get confused about these things. Brake servo needs draining first. But yeah, I've kind of not done it in the order I normally do, so now I'm a little bit confused about what I've done and what I haven't, which doesn't help things. But new brake liquid going in. Brake liquid, brake fluid, whatever you want to call it, it's going in. The yellow stuff, let's call it that. Okay, good there. That's all that done. Change oil, we haven't put oil back in. That's fine. We need to headlamp and wheels alignment, that's fine. Oil, just checked we haven't done it, so let's put the oil in. And then we know that's done. Perfect. So I think that's everything we can do mechanically on the car done. So now it's going to be about the body parts. Now, left headlight, side mirror, tail light, rear window, right headlight, tail light. Can you spot the issue? So all the body parts that they're doing are all lights and glass, which means none of them can be fixed. Which isn't a massive issue for us. It means we just have to buy them all new. That's not my concern. My concern at this point is if you look at the state of the bodywork, it all needs doing. And in fact, the bits we need to replace and fix don't exist. They're not on the car. The headlights aren't there. The mirror isn't there. But they're not the problem parts. Yes, they're missing and they need we need new ones because they're not there. But that bonnet, the side of the car, the rear boot lid, none of it is in a good condition. You would expect us to have to fix that. If he's thinking of selling this back to a customer as a prime example of the car, as a factory example, there is an issue. And it's going to be obvious. And I know it says paint factory colour, but there's no way that factory colour is going to come good. But we shall see as we get to it. Let's just buy the headlights and everything else that's missing. And it annoyed me at the same time as frustrated me, because I wanted to do more to make the car look better. But then I also know financially it's not worth it. You're not going to gain that money back. So it's one of those, you've kind of got to, especially with story cars, you've kind of just got to put up with what it wants and just deal with the fact that it's not really the way you want to do things. But it is frustrating. I would have replaced the window screen as well, to be fair. But that's all the bodywork done. I'm still trying to get over my annoyance. So the bodywork is done. We need to respray factory colour. We need to perform the headlamp alignment and the wheel alignment. And then we're done. So let's move the car. If I get the menu to do what I want it to do. We'll move the car to the paint shop. And we'll do the factory colour. And this will be the example of why I'm annoyed with the state of the car. So factory colour is white. And even before I even put the gloss on, you can see the issue. The rust is showing through. This doesn't even look like it's been painted. And I wasn't really sure. I kind of ummed and ahed. Do I go and fix it? Do I just fix the bodywork to a good enough condition that the rust wouldn't come through? Because to me, that's not a finished car that's been painted back to factory colour. I don't know where that kind of accent came from. But that isn't what the job asked for. So we're kind of having to deal with the fact that we know it's wrong, but the job wants it done like that. If someone goes to sell me that car and says, yeah, it's a factory standard, that's flipping not. There is no way. Anyway, enough of my little rant. So now we'll align all the wheels. And then after that, headlights. And then we're done. It's a nice, quick story car. It didn't take too long to do. Frustrating, but didn't take too long to do. So headlamps now. You don't get to see this very often. I know we do this normally off camera. We don't normally show it in the videos. Mainly because it's just one of those boring basic things that doesn't need to worry about. And normally just save a little bit of time. There we go. Headlights done. So this car, in theory, is finished. You wouldn't think so to look at it, but it is. And I'm still annoyed looking at it now. It just annoys me. But anyway, let's talk money. So we spent £5,114 on the vehicle, fixing the problems. They're going to pay us £17,862 for fixing it all. So that makes us a nice little profit of £12,748 as we stare at the incomplete job that doesn't look right. I know, it's one of those. I contemplated going back and going, okay, let's just do it. Let's just fix the parts we don't need to fix. But then I thought it will just be an endless way of doing it. We'll end up doing everything, making it 100%, painting it again. It just wouldn't work. But that is everything done. That is confirmation there that everything is done. It doesn't look anything like the picture, frustratingly, but it is. That's it. Yeah, I don't know what else I can say. It's probably the worst car we've fixed for the way it looks afterwards. But that's not our fault. Yeah, okay. I'm over it now. I'm over it, don't worry. Okay, so that's the end of today's episode. That is the Sixon Cebulion story car done. So if you're enjoying this series or any content on the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and a like on the videos does really help. Next episode we have a really, really, really cool rebuild to do. It's an FMW Panther Mark II performance version. So look out for that for the next episode. We'll see you again very soon.